the Xbox version of Conquer is at the point where Bungie, not Bungie, but Raresoft died. The Xbox version of Conquers isn't even Conquers; it's something completely different. But yeah, Rare died after Conquer and Perfect Dark. Those were their last great games. After that, they were bought out by Microsoft or something like that and just completely butchered. Hey Finn, thanks for the host. Dan Outturns, thank you for the 20-month resub. Thank you. Cargo pants that turned into cargo shorts. I definitely had a pair of those. Perfect Dark Zero. Oh man. What a good joke. But there's a Perfect Dark on the N64, which is very good. Which is weird because Perfect Dark and Conquer were very well loved games. And GoldenEye, also very well loved. I don't know how they started to fall so far. DKC64 is complete garbage? I've heard that it's not complete garbage. I've heard that it's very good. And a lot of people really love Banjo-Kazooie, yeah. DK64 is about as stable as Skyrim. Well, it's an N64 game with like 15 FPS, so pretty much any N64 game isn't very stable, to be honest. Cardinal sin of extreme backtracking? Oof. Well, DK64 is on our viewer choice list. I never have even turned it on. In fact, the only reason that I have DK64 is because I used to work at EB Games, which is now GameStop. Except for in Canada, still EB Games. And I worked at the time when the N64 was being phased out. Well, I also worked at the time when N64 was current, but when, you know, the next generation came out, N64 was being phased out, a lot of people traded in their N64 games, and none of them had boxes or manuals ever. And so, oh, nice, we got a Becky. So, you know, like, I'm doing the trade-in, right? And I just choose not to put the games that I want to buy myself on the shelf, and at the end of my shift, I would just buy them for myself. So I got like I already had a copy of Conker's Bad Fur Day, but I got another copy for like $4, you know. StarCraft 64, $5, you know. DK64, $5. I just picked them all up because they didn't have boxes or manuals, so I grabbed them. Filled up my N64 collection basically just from working at EB Games because my N64 collection normally, like what I was actually interested in for the N64 was very limited. The N64 was not a great platform. It was kind of a shitty console. Like, yeah, it expanded on the whole 3D concept, and Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and Mario 64 are fantastic, mind-blowing, insane advancements in the way games are designed, and they still have a influence on game design today. They were very, very important games for the time. Star Fox, yeah, the only like actually really good games on the N64 are Ocarina of Time, Mario 64, GoldenEye, and like I guess you can maybe say Star Fox 64, maybe. The rest of the games on the N64 are just kind of meh. You know, they're okay. Some are great, some are bad, some are good. You know, mostly opinion though. But those games were actually fantastic, and they blew open the ideas of game design. So the N64 was super important, but overall as a console, you can easily you can tell when a game is on the N64 because it's like really, really big, long, bland, textured polygons. You know, it's just so obviously N64, and not in a good way. And then the entire console, I don't think there's a single game that runs over 20 FPS. You know, it's just really, really janky, man. It's hard to play that console, dude. It's really hard to play it. And even with the expansion pack, it didn't really do much. But like, of course you want to say Perfect Dark and maybe Majora's Mask are also among those awesome games. Oh, it did have the start of Smash, that's true. But both of those games are the same engine as their predecessor. Like Perfect Dark is the same game as GoldenEye, just with more stuff and a different story and characters. And Majora's Mask is just an Ocarina of Time ROM hack, officially released by Nintendo, you know? So there's nothing really interesting about those games that like stood out from the rest. And in fact, I'd argue that Majora's Mask isn't even that great of a game, but I've only played a little bit of it. But it has that stupid time mechanic like Lightning Returns, so it can't be that great. F-Zero and Smash run at 60 FPS? There's no way Smash runs at 60 FPS unless it's just like training mode when you're by yourself. I played a lot of Smash on N64. There's no way that runs at 60 FPS when there's like more than one model on the screen. MP3 quality audio. Yeah. Actually removed many core functions in the N64, which is why their games had such awesome tech. Oh, okay. Hey! Nice. Let's see what we get! Oh, 14 HP is good, though. 6 MP, new spell, probably hurt more. Yeah. Oh, I perfectly gained a level, too. Nice. 4,000 now! God dang it. My castle lies 73 to the north and 18 to the east. Oh! That's how you're supposed to find Erdrick's token. Okay. I love the cute chat. Whoa. 59 damage. How much MP did that cost? Five MP for double the damage. Interesting. I wonder how much damage that would do to the Dragon Lord. I think Majora's Mask was a rock-solid game, but the big thing about it is that the timer mechanic really gets in the way of how people enjoyed OOT, that you can spend so much time and you want to explore the whole world, and I think that's fair. They brought the experience of how N64 Zelda games worked. Here's the problem, Force Returns, is that limited time mechanics, where the entire game is based around limited time, is never good. The only apology that Majora's Mask has is that you can rewind time at any time. The problem with that is it also rewinds everything that you've done. And so like you never feel like anything you do is really accomplishing anything, and it just feels like an annoyance. You got to repeat a lot of the same stuff over again, which is forced extension to game time. It's like Dragon Quarter, the Zelda game. That's what it feels like to me when I played it. I had the same sensation as when I played Dragon Quarter, where nothing I did mattered and it was stupidly dumb. But I only beat like the first dungeon, and then I was just like, I don't like this, I'm done, you know? However, it is on the viewer choice list, so if you really want me to play Majora's Mask, my advice would be wait until we finish Tales of Berseria, because currently Breath of Fire 3 has such a ridiculous lead, unless you want to just be like flexing a big fat wallet muscle. We're playing Breath of Fire 3 after Tales of Berseria, so, you know. that's just what yeah. We're playing Breath of Fire 3 after Tales of Berseria. This would be N64, Majora's Mask. I think so too. I think so too, Gripsack. I think I would enjoy it a lot more if I was forced to go through the entire game. I'd be like, okay, I like these parts of it, you know? But I'd have to get there, you know? When a game, here's the thing, there's two parts of a game that are the most important. The two most important parts of any video game are the beginning and the end. Those have to be good. They have to draw in the player. They have to make you feel good. I have played some games that have great beginnings and shitty middles, and I've enjoyed them because that game captured me right off the bat, and I wanted to be a part of the rest of the game. I was willing to sacrifice the bad middle part because the beginning drew me in so much. I was so much in love with it. And then the end has to be important because you have to have like a good like it's like when you're watching a performance and there's like a talent show or something, you remember the first one and you remember the last one, right? You know, so the last one has to be good too because that's your last experience with the game. It has to be important, and the rest of the game doesn't have it can't suck, right? But if you're gonna spend a lot of time making something really good, a lot of detail and stuff like that, make it the beginning, make it the end. The rest of the middle part you can be a little bit lazy on or something like that if you need to, if budget restraints, you know, are causing you to take out content. But the beginning and the end, man, they gotta be good. And that's kind of where Majora's Mask lost me. Majora's Mask lost me by not having a good beginning, you know? Like, the whole story part of the beginning was pretty cool, but then it's just like, oh, hey, here's this first dungeon, now we're gonna have to reverse everything. Big middle finger right up your butt. But hey, maybe I'll love it. And yeah, Final Fantasy does excel at that concept because I can't imagine, I can't think of a single Final Fantasy where I'm not instantly drawn in at the beginning. Although I would say that the middle parts of Final Fantasy games are not bad either, but they're average in comparison to the beginnings or the ends, of course. But yeah, especially ends. There's not a single Final Fantasy that doesn't have like a fantastic ending compared to the rest of game endings for its time. Like look how ceremonious the end of Final Fantasy 1 is compared to something else on the NES. It's like, you beat the guys and you're the best at the end, you know? It has this like whole unique graphic. It prints out the end all freaking like old school scanner printer style and everything. It's fantastic. What's up, Brash? Thank you for the 44 months, dude. Thank you. How you been, man? Did you play it when it was new, Kuko? Because OOT was like the first like open world exploration game with like a meaningful day-night cycle that like impacted heavily the game's scope. Just the Z targeting was phenomenal for a 3D world. Yeah, the camera sucked. Like it didn't age very well. If Phenomenon says this as well, but if you were to like tell someone to get involved in the Zelda series, do not have them play Ocarina of Time first. It didn't age very well. It didn't age very well comparatively to the rest of the Zelda games. Yeah, but that's the thing, Kuko, is that the open world was very, very new. That's just the N64, though. The graphics are pretty awful. In general, for the N64 platform. None of the early 3D games aged well. Yeah, for the most part. Any like fully 3D game from the PlayStation / N64 era, none of them aged very well at all. It's not until PS2 where you start getting games that are 3D, full 3D that actually can stand up. Like FF10 looks beautiful to today even by today's standards, but they did a lot of really interesting, tricky thingies. Every main character has a high-res model, a medium-res model, and a low-res model, and it's mostly just their face for the high-res. And so there's a lot of cutscenes that do a lot of zooming in or panning to the sky kind of thing, so that there's less on screen that the console has to draw on, so they can put all the detail into that character's face for really good expression. And honestly, that's insane. It's really clever, a lot of work, and very impressive, and shows talent in cinematography to create an interesting cutscene while doing a lot of that zooming in kind of style of cutscene, you know? So yeah, excellently done. What's up, Soulite? Wait. People try to tell you that the Ocarina of Time story is great? What? It's a Zelda game. There is no story. The only Zelda game with a halfway decent story is Wind Waker. And even then, it's like 90% of the game is just hot hoot hit tat. You know, like I guess actually, you know what? The newest one, Spine of the World or Breath of the Butt, whatever it's called. Yeah, Breath of the Wild. That one has an okay, decent story as well. No, I love Breath of the Wild. I thought it was fantastic. I freaking devoured that game. I devoured it. Loved it. Am I going to finish this today? If I don't, look, I got 6 hours left in the stream, man. If I can't get high enough level to defeat the Dragon Lord in 6 hours, I'm gonna be really sad. Skyward Sword story? Yeah, it's got an interesting... What Skyward Sword has really is less of a story and more of like a good world building. You know, it really sets up the world very nicely to kind of like give a lot of nods to previous Zelda games. Yeah, Skyward Sword definitely has a very good world building. And actually, it's not the motion controls that ruined Skyward Sword. People didn't really care about the motion control aspect of it. The biggest problem with Skyward Sword was that it lacked what every Zelda game prior to it had, which was open world exploration, and turned it into a hub system. And then every world felt kind of detached and not important and not Zelda-y, you know? I've read a lot of negative reviews about Skyward Sword, and they all point to the hub system. Every single one of them. The motion controls is give and take. I mean, motion controls, yeah, whatever, but that's not like, I don't know. I don't think that's the hardest point about it. Yeah, motion controls suck, but you know, I was fine with it all the way through the game. I had no trouble. See how close we are. Alright. 3,000. I remember waiting in line to get a Wii for Twilight Princess. You know what? You know where I bought my Wii and Twilight Princess? This is gonna blow your mind. Circuit City. Circuit City. I waited out from 2 a.m. I waited in line in the middle of the winter because it was like, it came out in like December or November or something, and it was a really, really, really cold winter. And it was very cold. It was like freezing cold. And I waited in line from 2 a.m. until they opened at like 10 or something like that. So I could get, because they didn't do pre-orders, it was line only. So I could get a Wii and Twilight Princess. And you know what? I got it. And I went home and played the game with my friends and had a good time, and it was awesome. Oh yeah, me too, Sammy. All the WoW Collector's Editions, yep. I don't think I have much of my boxes anymore, though. The Switch, Big K? The Switch? Hello? The Switch was sold out for like 6 months straight. It was the fastest selling, most ridiculously sold out console of all time. Of all time. And that's the most recent console release that we've had, so yeah. There you go. Can you really count the SNES Classic though? It's more like a separate toy. You know, it's not really a console. It's just it's a neat little side toy. It's not like new games are being released for it, you know? Also, the SNES Classic was very available. Those sat on shelves for weeks after it released because they did not make the mistake of the NES Classic. The NES Classic was definitely hard to find, and were being poached, but the SNES Classic did not have that problem. The Wii was definitely a good-selling platform, but I don't think it even compared to the Switch. I think it was just the initial sellout, and then, you know, holiday, and then it's fine. But Switch was, like, gone for months. Like, I got really lucky when I got my Switch. I finally was in the market to get one. I was like, okay, I can afford this, let's go. And it was like 2 months after it came out. And I went to Best Buy. Well, actually, I went to like 2 or 3 other stores. I went to a Best Buy, I went to a Target, I went to EB Games or GameStop. Nothing. And I went to there was two Best Buys here at the time. That we only have one now because the other one shut down. But I went to the other more main Best Buy because I thought I didn't go to that one first because I thought, oh, it's the bigger Best Buy. They're not gonna have it. But anyway, I went there, and this is the saddest story I've ever heard. I feel really bad. So I went there, and when I went to the game aisle, there was a parent couple holding up the last Switch in the store. They were holding it up in their hands. They were looking at it, and they were like, "Oh, gee, I don't know if we should get this for him, you know." And they kind of talking about it, and I'm sitting there at the end cap, like kind of hiding, like ducking down so they don't see me, like sitting there waiting. And like they talk it out, and then finally they're like, you know what? He's already got an Xbox, and then set it down. And I was just like, that poor child. And then I instantly went up behind them and swooped it up before they even had a chance to pick it up again. But yeah, the saddest part is he already has an Xbox, and I'm just like, oh no. Oh no. Basically that, BG. Yeah, basically that. And you know, nothing against Microsoft specifically, it's just that the Xbox One has shitty exclusives. Once smartphones existed, casual games on consoles died. I don't know what you mean by that. Consoles are still very much alive and tons of games get produced on them? Question mark? Oh my god, Laser. Dude. That right there was one of the biggest reasons why I absolutely hate the Xbox One. Because of that Kinect thing where it was like you had to have a Kinect and you had to have it on, and there was like if you were playing a game and you swore, like you said, oh fuck or something like that, they would lock you out of your own console. They would be like, oh, we heard foul language, you know, shutting down, blah 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 kind of thing, and then they would parent lock it. Like there was some really messed up stuff going on with the Kinect. It was really messed up. Like if you were like, oh man, it recorded everything. It was always on. So if you weren't playing your Xbox and you were just chilling in your living room doing whatever you wanted with your own, you know, time or whatever, you know, let's say you wanted to get frisky with your lady friend, that was being recorded. All of it. Everything you did. That was the early stages of the Xbox One Kinect. It was incredibly super duper mega privacy invasive. It was the biggest yikes. And the fact that they even thought that that was a good idea made me already have like a significantly negative view of what Microsoft was doing with the Xbox, which is also why I'll never ever ever buy a Microsoft console ever again. But mostly I'm just like looking at it objectively, you know, in terms of like product line, the exclusives for the Xbox One suck. So there's no reason for me to want it anyway, thankfully, but yeah. Oh, I bet you anything that's exactly true, Yoda Man. It was 100% an intent to sell. There's like something like with the Facebook app on your phone. The Facebook app on your phone can access just about everything. It can do anything you want it because it wants to because of the privacy agreement or whatever that you signed before using Facebook on your phone. So it can listen to all of your conversations that you have on your phone, all your texts and everything, and it can pick up keywords. Like it'll listen to keywords and then give you targeted advertising based on those keywords. And that's, I bet you anything, that's what the Kinect was about. They wanted to listen to your day-to-day, pick up on keywords, and then offer targeted advertising on like the main screen or something like that when you turn it on. More than likely the case. The Facebook app for your phone, man. Whew. Facebook in general. Whew. It is it's big yikes. Big yikes. A whole lot of apps do get those permissions, true, but Facebook is particularly invasive because it's basically an app that says, hey, here's my personal life, you know. Anything you post on Facebook becomes the property of Facebook. And people were complaining about Warcraft 3 Reforged. That's just a standard protection contract to protect their assets. And then people pop open their Facebook app on their phone and just You don't even get a say. It's just theirs. The end.